Mayor.
Here. Okay, we're going to proceed with the approval of the meeting minutes. We do have to table June 10th regular meeting minutes and the executive session minutes because we have 2 abstentions and Mr. Bond is not here this evening. He did want me to let everyone know that he is not feeling well. He wants to be here. He is hopeful that he'll be here for the next meeting, and we hope that he has a quick recovery and that we see him next month. So I am going to go ahead. We do have enough folks here for the June 18th special meeting minutes, so if I could have a motion for those, please. So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none. All those in favor to move those minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Abstention? You had an abstention. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's move forward to public comment. These will be on agenda items only. We're going to limit this to 3 minutes per person. And if you could please speak from the podium and provide your name and whether or not you're a resident. Anyone would like to speak? Sir.
Yeah, Chuck Klein, resident. I just had a question on resolution 24-134. Is that going to cover the residential, the people of the township, or just the government-owned facilities?
That's the town?
That's the people.
That's the people.
Yeah.
So
It says residential, so that,
yeah, it's an opt-out agreement.
so it's going to be the same as?
Yes. The same as what, 2 years ago, was it?
It's been longer.
Or 3 years? 3 or 4 years?
Might have been, you're right, it might have been.
Thank you. I hope we have a little discussion on that.
Sure. More than happy to have that. Anyone else? Okay, not seeing anyone, I'm going to close public comment. We're going to move forward with Township Committee Liaison Reports. Mr. Bauer?
Yeah, so just an update from the Rec Commission. So we met in June, I attended that meeting. A number of things we discussed. I've been working with Diane on a couple of them. One's around the vendor list. We realized that there is no township vendor list. Got that resolved. Trying to work through a better process for, how groups like the Rec Commission leverage appropriately the township's Amazon account. It's just not convenient the way that they have to make an appointment with Dee when she's available, go over and kind of walk through what they want to purchase. So I'll work with Diane to see if there's a better resolution, just because of all those volunteers are, one, paying money out of the pocket, getting reimbursed, but secondly, it's just not convenient. I think the biggest thing is what we talked about, this, the Surgeonsville, the Green Survey, which is underway. So once we know more about that, then communicating that's available.
Which I think it should be shortly, so thank you. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Mrs. Lockwood?
It looks like the Open Space Committee has been, we submitted almost a year ago a change to the farmland preservation plan. I think they at least got feedback that it looks good, but for some reason they only approve things on a certain schedule, and we have to wait till whenever that date comes back around or whatever. But I think from all indications, it looked good. They did suggest that we add at least the one applicant to it who has come to us and is interested in preserving. They're supposed to be on the targeted farm list to make it easier, and that particular one wasn't on. So we may add those, but other than that, it looked like everything was good, and people were just waiting for whatever their deadline is to pass for them to officially give us that. Okay. When that happens, we're gonna want to we'll post the plan on the Open Space Committee's website. You already know that we finished the grant, we almost finished the grant, so I don't have to report on that. And then the other thing I would note is the newsletter committee met, and the deadline for the September newsletter is July 26th. If anyone has anything that needs to go in the newsletter, please let me know. just met tonight, and we have the list of what we think needs to go, but if there's anything else, we'll certainly be open to whatever.
Okay.
And I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
I was at the last school board meeting, and they accepted our recommendation for the Robin Hill bus huts to dispose of them.
Right.
So, yeah, that was good.
Thank you for that.
Yep, and that's it.
Okay, our Department of Public Works head is on vacation this week, so I'm going to go ahead and read his report. Tree work. So this was the week of, not the week, but the period from June 10th to July 8th. Tree work. Responded to 12 trees down in the town. Drove through town picking up brush along roads and drainage ditches. Town maintenance hauled out 4 dumpsters of material, metal, mixed recyclables, trash, and cardboard. Cut grass at Dells Park as well as Town Hall, DTS, and various other locations. Continued with roadside mowing along township roads. Poured concrete paths to the front of Delaware Township and installed benches over on the green. Prepared for the Great Crate Race, which, by the way, I just wanted to mention was, from what I understand, was a fantastic event. So very well done and planned for. So thank you to everyone who put that together. Mowed, weed whacked, and removed trees off the White Oak Trail. Watered the trees on Lower Creek Road, which I think, unfortunately, we have a bunch of saplings and everything that are growing down there, and any period of, yeah, exactly, they get stressed, so we don't want to have to replace those again. So he also replaced 6 signs in town. Roads and drainage, started paving on Granary Road. Dug out drainage ditches at 5 locations spanning approximately 1,000 feet. Started paving sides of road where asphalt was crumbling. Vehicle equipment maintenance, replaced boom, mower pens, we don't need to go over that. And then safety, attended annual safety recognition breakfast. So he was busy. I did want to mention how great a job I think he's doing, and we're lucky to have him on board.
And I'll just highlight, he's very responsible. I got a call one Friday night that there was trash blowing around at Dilts, and within an hour, he had somebody come in, clean it. What I was impressed with is he had actually formalized an SOP for how they're going to move forward to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So he's very responsible and taking, next steps.
Agreed.
Doing a great job.
Agreed. So the only other thing that I want to mention, I have a little bit of bad news regarding the post office. So apparently the contractor that has been hired by the government to put in the post office had indicated they thought that they would be starting late June to the middle of July. That has come and passed, obviously, without anything being done. The contact at the fire department then reached out to the contractor, and he said, I haven't gotten the green light from the post office to go ahead and actually go ahead and install it yet, but I'm anticipating that coming shortly. The person from the firehouse had reached out to his contact at the post office, and he's waiting to hear back. I'm supposed to hear something hopefully tomorrow, and we'll be able to provide an update hopefully next meeting. So it's been a long time in the works, but another month. We've only waited, what, a year and a half, 2 years now. So what's another month these days? And that's the federal government for you. So just hold on. It is going to happen. It's just a little slower than, unfortunately, what everyone's anticipated. So that concludes my comments. So we can then move forward with the administrator's report. So I'll turn that over to Diane. Thank you, Diane.
So the township submitted the New Jersey DOT grant for 2025 for Upper Creek Road improvements. It'll be similar to Lambert and Rittenhouse, not widening, no drainage, less than a mile.
Right.
The township also submitted the Hunterdon County Municipal Infrastructure Grant. We applied for the drainage portion of the Dilts Park Improvement Plan. Approximately half of the cost of the park improvement is for stormwater management design. So it includes catch basins, piping, swales, forest asphalt trails, about detention retention basins, slow water down, decrease erosion by planting of trees. All those items we put in the grant, and we're hoping to get $100,000.
Fantastic.
Also on the agenda tonight is the certification of the 2023 audit.
Mm-hmm.
Every municipality is required to have an annual audit by a registered municipal accountant, RMA. The audit contains your useful information, but most important is the schedule of findings and recommendations. A no comment in this section is the goal of every municipality, and Delaware Township has achieved this goal. It's a team effort. You know, everyone worked very hard to get that no comment. So we're proud of that. And also summer rec program started today. And I'll run for 3 weeks.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you for all of your hard work in respect to the budget and maintaining the township's finances. You do an excellent job, so thank you very much for all your hard work. We'll go, I actually just read the DPW report, so we can move on to the public hearing adoption of ordinances. First ordinance is ordinance 2024-09, an ordinance to amend chapter 203-114 of the Code of Township of Delaware entitled Stormwater Management to reflect amendments to the New Jersey Stormwater Management Rules at NJAC 7-8 adopted July 17, 2023. If I could get a motion to open for public hearing. Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And once again, if anyone has any comments, you could please come to the podium. We have 3 minutes. Anyone have anything that they'd like to discuss in respect to this particular ordinance? Okay, hearing none, could I get a motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any discussion amongst the township committee?
Can I just ask how, I thought we did this already. This is,
It's been an ongoing matter with the NJDEP and updating the statewide stormwater rules. It's been every 2 to 3 years they release an amendment to the statewide stormwater rules. And when they do that, municipalities are obligated to update their local ordinances to align with the current statewide rules. So not to get too deep into the weeds, but this most recent revision is a result of the impacts of Hurricane Ida, which were acutely felt in Delaware Township and surrounding communities. So the state has released these more, they're calling it the inland flood protection rule. So ocean related, not shore related flooding. So any riverine flooding is going to be addressed or hopefully mitigated in future developments through these new rules. One good thing as part of the model ordinance, and that's what we're adopting, the model ordinance that's required. We haven't added, or we're not allowed to modify the ordinance essentially. But one good thing is that DEP has created a model that directly references the state administrative code. So if in the future, well, when there are updates in the future, we will be directly referencing those, so we don't have to keep going through this process every 2 to 3 years, adopting a new ordinance, recodifying it. So this is not the last one, but it will be one of, there'll be fewer updates to these as we directly, basically the calculation standards, the standards for design, that's really what's being updated as part of this, is going to directly reference what's in the state administrative code, so they'll update that in the future, and we will automatically be in compliance with those. So that's what the purpose of this ordinance is.
Thank you.
Hopefully that answers.
Any further discussion amongst the committee? Could I have a motion to adopt, please?
Want to make a motion?
You can, I'll second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Okay, David, Chad Bauer.
Yes.
Susan Lockwood.
abstain.
Joseph Oak.
Yes.
And Mayor Wall.
Yes. Okay, our next ordinance is 2024-10, an ordinance by the Township of Delaware and Hunterdon County, New Jersey, amending Article 3 in Section 268-25 of the Delaware Township Municipal Code to include maintenance of non-abandoned property. If I could get a motion to open the public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If anyone would like to make some comments,
Would please.
thank you.
Hi, my name is Judy Allen, I'm a township resident. I've read this ordinance through several times, and I'm wondering if it might be a little bit overreaching. When I first saw the title at the last meeting, I thought it applied maybe to debris, things in a road right away, which is perfectly understandable, or site easements, site triangles. This ordinance is not limited to those areas. You could have Steven's son come and cut down 20 feet of your property, just drop them, but not have them taken away. Your neighbor could call and complain about it. Somebody gets a pile of mulch, a mountain of mulch. Somebody complains, you gotta take it away. I think it should apply, in my opinion, to within a road right away, and site triangles. Site triangles can be created by subdivisions, and they're also the intersections of streets. But I could see this being a real problem if your neighbor has a beef with you and doesn't happen to like your debris pile, your mulch pile, your whatever pile. I mean, I myself, I have like, 6 trees dropped in my front yard waiting for my husband to get there and saw them up, but somebody could complain about them. So I think it should be limited in scope to the areas where it affects the traveling public.
Thank you. Any further comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, if I could get a motion to close public comment?
Move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. JT, I don't know if, being the drafter of that particular ordinance, whether or not there's any incorporation via reference to any other articles or portions of municipal code that would limit the applicability to this to just, the intended use was obviously roadways and.
Yeah, there's no doubt that that's the intended purpose. I need a minute
Sure.
to figure that out, so maybe what we can do, why don't we table this?
Okay,
I'll review it with the concerns in mind and try and play it through to see if there's a way to limit it. It's certainly not urgent, so we can, let's try and get it right. Let's,
right.
so there was just a motion for public, so when public hearing is over, my recommendation will be, since there hasn't been a motion yet to adopt it, motion to table
Okay,
and to have the hearing at the next meeting. I'll take a look at it with that in mind.
okay, thank you.
With public comment, with the revision?
Potentially, I can't say,
Okay.
but at least read it with Judy's concerns.
Right.
It's revised, with the whole first reading all over again.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it depends on the level of edit, but
Right.
chances are, yes, it will have to start over on the first, but not necessarily. It depends on what
Thank you
is
for
considered
reading. I
minor.
appreciate that.
Correct.
So should we wait to set public meeting until we hear?
Yeah, you're only gonna table tonight, yeah,
Right.
but I don't know.
If we have to go
What
all the
Judy
way
said
back.
is that there is a higher probability we're gonna have to start over with the
Okay.
first reading, but it's not an automatic. It depends upon, if I read it, first of all, if I agree that tweaking is necessary, it's the level of tweaking that's gonna dictate whether or not we can go to a public hearing, we have to start over. Odds are, we'll probably have to start over.
So with that in mind, do I need to set the public meeting right now?
No.
Okay, we're gonna wait to hear.
We're gonna finish public hearing, we're gonna
Okay.
close public hearing, and when everybody's had a chance, just make a motion to table for now.
Okay. I believe we closed public
You
hearing.
did?
Yes.
I didn't hear that, so then a motion to
So
table.
if I could have a motion to table
Yeah,
the
I'll make a
ordinance.
motion to table this ordinance or proposed ordinance, so that the township attorney can assess it and determine if there's any potential changes before it's brought back to the public.
Second. Roll call, please, Diane.
Okay, David Clark, Chad Bauer,
Yes.
Susan Lockwood.
Yes.
Joseph Cookie.
Yes.
Mayor Wong.
Yes. Thank you. In respect to ordinance 2024-11, which I know a lot of people are extremely interested in, we have decided to table this particular ordinance this evening because, as I had mentioned earlier, Mr. Bond is unable to attend. And I thought it was only fitting that the entire committee, all 5 members that have been elected to their respective positions, need to be involved with this decision, simply because it has major implications to the finances of the town, or possible major implications to the finances of the town, and the will of the people. And obviously you elected all 5 of us to represent you. I didn't feel it was proper for 4 of us to be making this decision. So hopefully Mr. Bond will be back in August. So that is, at that particular point in time, we will have the public hearing on that. So that, could I have the date of that, Diana?
August 12th.
So we're going to set a public meeting for August 12th.
Public hearing,
I'm sorry, public hearing for August 12th.
and it's gonna be re-advertised.
And it's going to be re-advertised as such in all the normal methods. So we look forward to your comments at that particular point in time, so thank you. We'll go ahead and move with the consent agenda. However, with Mr. Klein's suggestion, I am going to pull for further discussion. I'm trying to find it.
134.
134, 24-134, I'm going to pull that for additional discussion. Any other portions of the consent agenda that any of the committee members would like to have pulled for further discussion? Okay, if I could get a motion for the consent agenda without resolution 24-134.
For completeness, that's resolution 24-131, 132, 133, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, 141, 142, 143, and 144.
Thank you, Councilor.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, if I could have roll call, please, Diana.
Okay, David Bond. Chad Bauer.
Yes.
Susan Lockwood.
Yes.
Joseph Cookie.
Yes.
Mayor Wong.
Yes. Okay, we're going to now move to resolution 24-134, authorizing mayor to sign agreement for provision of electricity generation supply services for residential government energy aggregation. It's always been my opinion, I do not like opt-out agreements, but unfortunately that is the only thing available to us. The other thing that I did not like is the last time that we utilized this energy aggregation broker was the fact that they utilized or used the township seal, placed it on the letters that went out to the residents, and the residents were confused as to who the ultimate sender of that particular letter was and what the process was to opt out of the program. Unfortunately, we didn't have any flexibility when we were notified that this particular round of bidding resulted in a positive delta between what residents are currently paying for their energy production, not so much the delivery, correct? So with that being said, there is savings for residents. However, we had an ordinance in place that this committee passed that required us, if that delta existed between, that resulted in the savings to the residents, we have to participate in this program. With that being said, the fact that we have to participate, we're just going to have to see how this time goes, and hopefully everyone has a positive experience, saves money on their electric bills, etc. And if it's anything other than a positive experience, then we're just going to have to amend our ordinance after the fact.
So just for clarification on the reason for the opt-out. In essence, they go on the market to get people to bid on electricity. And in order to bid, you have to know how many people you're serving. So they have to put the whole group in so that there's something to bid on. They assume then that the majority of those people, since we can only accept bid if it's a saving from what we would get if we didn't switch, from what JCP&L is providing, the law requires that if it's no saving, there's no switching, and it's gotta be a certain amount of a saving
Right.
too, it can't just be,
One penny.
yeah, it has to be within certain parameters, I don't know them detailed. But, so that's when then we're in the program, but then anyone at any time can opt out. So the only question, I mean, maybe you have, which I maybe have myself, is if you opted out previously, do you have to opt out again, or are you permanently opted out? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I don't know if, as I said, if you opted out previously, if you have to continue to opt out each time. Because it's been several years. This process has been happening every year or so, because I think it was the pandemic. The prices all went crazy, and every time they went to bid, there was no savings. So we did not go into a program. This time, finally, the energy market stabilized, and there's a savings again, and that's why we're a member of a local co-op, and again, that co-op has a certain number of participants, and that's what these energy companies are bidding on. So that's why they have to start with a number, and they can't ask you if you want to go in, because then there would be nothing to bid on if they didn't know how many people they were starting with.
Can I ask a question to the mayor? You indicated earlier that the last time around there was some, I'm going to be very magnanimous and say confusing communication. Has that issue been addressed? Are we in a position to know that that will not happen again? Does any further communication need to take place regarding that? And if so, is there a contact? I'm happy to send a little letter to them.
I think there's no harm in additional contact, especially from
That's very
the
disturbing.
township attorney.
So I have actually, I announced this at the seniors meeting so that people knew that, because basically everyone, again, by law, everyone has to get a letter giving them the option of opting out, and so people get confused. You know, the bottom line is, if you're happy getting the lower rate, you do nothing. But they have to send you a letter because that opportunity has to be, you have to be available to that opportunity every time.
Right.
So people get that letter and they're not sure what's going on. Plus, if you remember, in the past, there were companies just automatically, switching people without their permission. So people got, understandably concerned and unsure of what's going on. So we can, again, I'll add to the newsletter, another item in the newsletter. And as I said, I announced again to the seniors, we're doing this, you're gonna get a letter, but you don't have to do anything unless you want to, basically. And I think the other thing too is they needed to make sure they're very responsive if you know where to call, and are not necessarily calling on us, basically. So I think you probably got them to put their number in there. The reason they put ours initially is because we're the member of the co-op. We're the one signing the agreement. So technically, we're opting in for our community, basically.
Right.
But it is confusing for people. That's all part of the state requirement, that when you do that, they have to notify you.
But we can ensure less confusion by them not using the Delaware Township logo on their
Yes.
private communication.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I do know, Diana, we were working on trying to get an information session scheduled. Did they respond to that? So are we set?
Yes.
Okay.
So they sent us a mock-up without our logo on it, and also reiterated that is the case, you do not want your logo on, we said yes. And so then there's going to be a public information session in there, including that date on the mailer. We'll also have it on the website. The woman's phone number is on our website currently that we should talk to, and it's throughout the communication. I mean, people will still call us, but
Yeah.
she's just directly to me, happy with their questions. So I think they've got it now, how we'd like to proceed. So.
Okay.
It's the first week, the last week of July, I can't remember if it's Monday or Tuesday that we go. in the
Mhm.
state, but
Right.
it's one of those evenings.
And also in response sort of to Mr. Klein's previous question, we're a member of two different co-ops. The other one is just for municipal services.
Right.
We haven't
That's what I
heard,
remember.
we have not heard on that one, I don't think.
I have not received any communication.
But it's I think it's maybe a different company, like a different
Right.
consultant that
Yes.
does the work for them.
Yes, agreed.
So, we haven't heard on that one, but this is definitely the one that we're a member of. Just again, there are, I think, probably close to 10 municipalities involved. Most are Hunterdon County, and then I think we've got maybe Hopewell and one other, two
Right.
Mercer County communities, but mostly all Hunterdon
Okay.
in and around Hunterdon County.
Well, I think the most important thing just to mention is we're obligated under our own ordinance that we passed, and I'm not sure when that ordinance dates back to, but we're obligated to participate if there's, like I said, savings to the residents. If there is a negative experience from this go-around, it's my intention to ask this committee to consider removing that ordinance. That way we can, do the right thing for the people, and it's a shame that you can't save money, but if it causes too much confusion and whatnot, I don't think it's worth it sometimes. So we'll get obviously public feedback after the whole process is undertaken. So
Can I ask a follow-up question?
it's not public comment, but I'll let you say.
Just one question. It would be really helpful if we have communication with them to have them put some kind of an example to show how much savings a typical household
Sure.
would
I
have.
think they do. Don't they do that?
Well, they do, but they tell you by kilowatt hour.
Right.
So it's
Right.
hard, so if you knew what your kilowatt hour usage is, you could calculate it, because it's here right in the,
But isn't that on the JCP&L bill?
It is.
I think it is
Yeah.
actually.
I think you just got to reference
I think
your
it's
bill.
in there, actually.
So-
You're right.
Hopefully, they're better at showing you where on your bill you can look and you can ascertain what your savings are, et cetera. And then I guess the final piece that we should mention is, and I know this is what happened the last go around, you could opt into lower savings but
Yes.
greener sustainable energy generation.
That one you have to pick. If you want to
Oh, right.
save less and go greener,
Right.
you have to actively do that.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you get the full savings and it's less green energy.
Right.
So yes, the people will have the option of taking a smaller benefit in order to be getting more green energy.
Right.
And maybe at some point, I think the state over time has been requiring the amount of green energy in the total amount to increase anyway.
Right.
So there's already a green component to what we will be buying. If you want a larger green component, then you opt into that other program. But I'm pretty sure, I forget what the component is, but I seem to recall the energy company telling us that New Jersey has been upping the amount that has to be from renewable, sort of like on an annual basis. So even if you don't pick the green option, you're getting a certain percentage of renewables automatically anyway.
Right. The only other fallacy I just wanted to put to bed was, some residents had expressed concern that if they used another power generation company by not opting out, if power went out at their home, JCP&L would put them lower on the list as far as restoration efforts. That is not true from all the conversations I've had with the JCP&L contact. They're receiving the same amount of money anyway. That money's passed along to the energy generation companies. So anyway, I think that's important to know. Any other comment between the township committee?
I mean, I think the reason we did this, there were two reasons back in the day. One was, again, this kind of agreement and this program has been around for, I think, almost 20 years. A lot of towns just didn't know about it. The first time we were asked to join this co-op was because we were suddenly becoming very aware of our energy generation. When the Penny's pipeline was coming through, people were getting, like, that's not clean energy. And it's, so people became a little more aware of like where our energy was coming from or not coming from. And that's why that was the second reason that some of the surrounding communities started looking into like, where does our energy come from, and can we avoid buying it from someone who's gonna like destroy our town in the process. So that was one of the reasons for looking into it, and then they found this program had been around, I think, for about 20 years or something. And a lot of towns have done it, mostly, I think, maybe South Jersey? I don't know, but a lot of towns have been in co-ops for like 20 years, and we just discovered it more recently. So, but the program I think has been the same the whole time. Except for, I think, this green energy option, we asked, specifically our co-op said, when you go out to bid, can you have them bid it two ways? One with regular energy and one with a larger green component. So, bid it two different ways so that people will have that choice if they choose to make it.
Okay, any further comments? Okay, so essentially, I'm gonna need a motion for resolution 24-134. Just recall that this is essentially reaffirming our existing ordinance, as for the reasons specified earlier.
The ordinance,
Okay,
Second.
okay, roll call,
the
please.
resolution, I'm sorry.
David Bond. Chad Bauer.
Yes.
Susan Locke.
Yes.
Joseph Bowie.
Yes.
Mayor Wall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Fingers crossed that this will be a better experience. Okay, resolution 24-145, authorizing payment of municipal obligations in the amount of $1,856,398.85.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none, roll call, please, Diane.
Okay, David Bond. Chad Bauer.
Yes.
Susan Locke.
Yes.
Joseph Bowie.
Yes.
Mayor Wall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we don't have any new items under old business or new business, so we're going to proceed with the open for public comment. So if I could get a motion to open for public comment, and this particular one doesn't have to be restrained to the agenda.
So moved. Oh,
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Anyone from the public wish to make a public comment? Please. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, so good.
Thank you.
Judy Allen, just a quickie question. Joe, you mentioned before about there's been a resolution about the bus shelters over on Mason Farm and Sun Farm. What was the resolution there?
It was in Robin Hill. And yeah, we're going to just dismantle them and throw them out because
All right, good.
no one uses them and it's just kind of an eyesore.
And maintenance thing.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so,
I was hoping of the answer.
okay, cool.
Sir?
Yep, Rich Forwinsky, 110 Kingwood Stockton Road, Rosemont. This question is for the committee as well as the engineer. I was a little befuddled when we were addressing the stormwater management rules, and you described a future with fewer revisions to Delaware Township ordinances in response to DEP changes to stormwater management, which would automatically bring us into compliance. So I didn't follow that at all, so I apologize to you all.
Oh, certainly.
Ask if you could explain how that works.
Sure, so I don't have the ordinance here in front of me, but
Yeah.
the model ordinance that was provided by the department for adoption, there's certain sections that reference calculation standards, requirements for future storm, current storm events, and future storm events, and those sections, I can pull it up here, but essentially there's a reference to, calculation standards shall be as published in the New Jersey Administrative Code, section 7:8, as amended. So it's a direct reference there. I didn't print it out here.
See, rather than putting the actual standards in the ordinance, the reference is to the administrative code that has the standards. So as they change the administrative code, if they change those standards, our ordinance is self-amending because it's always referencing the applicable administrative codes, which will never change. The information in the administrative code might change. And as that changes, our ordinance automatically updates because it's pointing to that, administrative code section that has all of the technical stuff.
So that's the administrative side of it. Now on the practical side, how responsive or there's administration and code, and then there's the actual handling of
Application.
storm, water, and where we're at now versus where we'll be in 2 years, 5 years. And I'm just curious about how the township's systems are currently installed to face these new standards, which will always, I guess, be readdressed by DEP. Just curious about it.
Of course. So these rules specifically apply to major developments, and what that means is major developments are essentially any time any property owner does any sort of development on their land, disturbing 1 acre of land and or adding 1/4 acre of new impervious coverage, new lot coverage. So these rules will apply to those instances
Going forward.
going forward. And that rule has always been, since 2004, I believe, is the first sort of, so the last 20 years, really, the ordinance has been, the stormwater rules have been in place and have been updated since for the last 20 years, based on evidence or changes in understanding or addressing impacts such as, well, the last revision implemented green infrastructure, so using more naturalized methods of managing stormwater rather than just burying concrete tanks underground everywhere. And that was the approach that they encouraged. And now in this case, it's really addressing, and we've all noticed over the last 10, 15, 20 years, storms have been getting more intense, more frequent. So the intention here is that future projects, future designs will address those increased intensity storms. So the systems that have been designed over the last 20 years, in these last 20 years, have now obviously been seen to be undersized. So that will address how stormwater is managed statewide, really, and addressing those apparent undersizing of the stormwater collection system. On the township side, on the roads and everything, there are separate rules, separate regulations that apply to how the township and the DPW and Justin and his staff manage and maintain stormwater, which that's another ongoing thing, and that's a constant, the permit was last updated in 2023, and that's a 5-year cycle, and we're constantly, in the future, we'll be working with, which they're having multiple conversations with this, that we'll be working with the Stormwater Committee and other, there's a requirement that the township engage with other stakeholders like the Stormwater Committee and other groups, as well as the public, on addressing localized flooding issues on roads, township properties. But this doesn't apply to that.
Got it.
So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
Anyone else?
I want to add to the record. I want to make our record clear. I'm assuming at the board meeting that you attended, Joe, they placed on the record permission to remove those bus stops.
Correct, yes.
So I just want our minutes to reflect
Yes.
that that was done, because that is important, because as part of the resolution before the land use board, that was a condition of approval. They have abandoned that condition, which allows the municipality to remove those.
I also have a communication from Kathy Poirier
I love it.
that indicates as such, so I will go ahead and move forward.
Yeah, just as long as we have that, as long as the clerk has that
Okay.
for the record, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, any other? Yes, please.
Kathy Clay, Delaware Township resident, and I apologize to the Rec Commission, the Open Space Commission, and the Environmental Commission for missing the ribbon cutting of the QR code. I really thought it was part of the meeting, as the township committee has often done in recognition of public contribution. I really thought it was part of the meeting. And I think in the future, those things should be part of the meeting, so there's better recognition by the township. Because it would be nothing to open the meeting, walk over, do the thing, and then go back. So,
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
it's my fault too. I didn't realize it was ahead of the meeting. I thought it was part of the meeting.
I'm not sure whether there was any constraints on the folks that were attending from the various grant providers, et cetera, time-wise. I was just told to be here at 7, so.
Okay.
So my apologies, and in the
No, it's
future,
my
I'll
fault
make
because I
sure.
missed it, but I just think broader recognition by the full committee would be also a very good
Understood.
thing.
Agreed, and, you know, on that note, I do think a lot of recognition has to go to the folks that put that up, because they did a
Yep.
fantastic job, so,
Yep.
so thank you for that. Anyone else?
Oh, yeah, one more thing.
Sure.
Can the podium not be dead center in front
Sure.
of you? Can it be off to the side? Because I'm sure all of us are getting a blocked view of somebody. Right? I mean, I have to look at Jamie like, we're this.
Not a problem, we'll move it. Is it better over here perhaps, or?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll figure
We
it
don't
out.
need to see Joe.
Yeah. That's fine. Duly noted, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, with that, could I get a motion to close public hearing, or public comment, sorry. All those in favor? Okay, we'll move forward with Township Committee comments. Mr. Bauer. Mrs. Lockwood.
To say the seniors have relocated their meetings to the Sandwood Church in recognition of supposed construction at the fire hall.
Thank you.
Non-construction.
Okay, the one thing I just want to mention, obviously, we couldn't vote on the park that has been moved to August. Hopefully, we'll be able to have that vote then. I truly believe that that's a watershed moment for the future of the park. So I encourage everyone here to let everyone know who may be interested in any particular outcome, whether it's for or against it, to please come and make your opinion known. Like I said, I think it's very important. It's been 3 years in the making since the referendum passed for, you know, help to the park to be made. So hopefully we'll get to hear from you folks and make the proper decision and such. So thank you very much. And mark it on your calendar. So it's August 12th, and I hope to see you there. So we now have to go into an executive session. So everyone, thank you for coming. Stay cool, and hopefully see you in town or on August 12th.